Alright, so this is your fifth 6 weeks project. It's a critical thinking project. It's very similar to the project you had last year during pre-cal fifth 6 weeks. So it may kind of look familiar. It is not the same one. It is a different one. But we're going to go through it so that hopefully you'll understand the directions there. So on this first page, you cut apart the puzzle pieces. And you're going to make this design right here. Now you need to be careful when you cut out your pieces, and you need to make sure that they fit together exactly, okay? And the only way to do that is to be very careful when you cut this out. And then you're going to need to take this piece of paper. You'll probably need to attach a piece of paper to the front of your project and actually tape it or glue it or something to it once you make your puzzle. I would not recommend doing this at school, this particular one, because you may lose pieces of your puzzle. I would recommend doing this one at home, just so that you don't lose any of your puzzle pieces. And if it takes you longer than you think, then you may get halfway through and your puzzle, you have to stop because the bell rings. Okay, so this is one that I wouldn't necessarily want to try and do in class, just because it's got pieces that you don't want to lose, because then you don't have your whole puzzle to be able to figure it out. Okay, so make sure you're careful when you're cutting that one out. For the next page, you're drawing mirror images. There are 6 of them total, so they're worth 2 points each. It gives you an example. We have a mirror right here, and we want to reflect it. And so they show you what would happen if we had our mirror on this side. Well, it would reflect from here up. And so it reflects it for you, and so that's what you would draw. And so some people have found that actually using a mirror on these helps them. But you have each of these 6 shapes, and you want to reflect them across the mirror that's this dark line. Now, you don't have to have it exactly like these, but they should look close. If you have, for this first one, if you have your boxes and they look like this, or something, I mean, that's not going to be adequate. You at least need to make them squares as best you can. So you don't have to have them exactly perfect, but they do need to be pretty close to what is shown. For the next page, there are 2 points each. There are 4 of them total. You're going to take the design that they give you, and you're going to copy it into the grid below. So number 1 would go here, number 2 would go here, then you need to have number 3 and number 4, okay? So that's what you're going to do for that part of the project. Just copy it exactly as it is. And some people like to do this one in colors. That's fine. However, I would start by doing it in pencil just to make sure that you do it correctly, and then you can go over it in a color if you want. I just would be hesitant to start off with the color because you can't really erase your colors if you mess up. So just be careful on that if you try and do it in a color. Now for this one, these are 5 points each. There are 3 of them on this page. So there's one here that goes with these directions right here. So I'm going to go over it. If it is to be, is what we have. And so it tells us that each letter represents a different digit. So all of these I's represent the same digit. And they're going to, if they were all 7, that F cannot be a 7, neither can the T or the S or the O or the B or the E. Okay, and so then it tells you that all the add-ins are odd, and then it tells you some information here. And so you've got to make them so that it adds up to be a number down here. Now B is going to go right here. You've got if it is to be. This number cannot be 10. That is 2 digits. Your digits are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So this B right here, the most that it could be is a 9. It could be smaller, but it cannot be a 10 because that would be 2 digits, okay? So that's the first one. And then you have problem 2 alone. It is up to me. And so that is going to go right here. And it gives you the information here. And again, each letter represents a different digit. And these two are separate. You're not working them together. So if you get an I is 7 here and you get an I is 4 here, that's okay. They're two different problems, okay? But then we're going to work problems 1 and 2 together. And so you're ignoring this part here. And then we have problems 1 and 2. If it is to be, it is up to me. Okay, so I gave you the blanks. I didn't have room to write the letters. But the same letters represent the same numbers in this problem. So do not go back up to these two up here. You only are using this information and your blanks over here. So all of the letters represent different digits except for P and F. P and F are actually the same digit. And then it gives you some more information. Now, there are 4 different answers for this one. So don't panic if you get something different from everyone else. There are 4 different ways that you can do this one. And it's because you end up having to just pick something for one of your variables to see if it'll work. And there's more than one thing that you can pick for it. So again, there are 3 different problems. You work number 1, and then you do number 2, and then you use the letters, but it has no correlation to what the numbers are on the top page. Okay, so now the next page are word ladders. And they're 2 points each. So this first one, we are turning full into sage. And it tells you some hints. These are hints about what the word is going to go in the blocks. You can only change 1 letter at a time on these. So do not try to change more than 1 letter at a time. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to go from full, and if I wanted to change 1 letter, I'm going to change the F to a C. And so I changed 1 letter. Now that's not what goes because that's not a common fund. I'm not looking at those. I'm just showing you how to change 1 letter at a time. So that would be cool. I could change it to, if I wanted to, I could change this again to some other letter. I can't think of an example of something to change it to. But you could change, well, we could change the L to a K. That would be changing 1 letter. But you could not go from cool to cold, because that changed the O to the L and an L to a D. That changed 2 letters at one time. You can only change 1 letter at a time, okay? So these first 2 give you a hint about a common fund, number of votes cast, anyway. And then over here, it gives you another hint for them. Now these doesn't give you any hints, and you've got to change them using 1 letter at a time, and every word that you change it to has to be a real word. It has to be in the dictionary, not a slang term, an actual word. Okay, so if you want, you may want to look up the words as you do them just to make sure that they are actual words. The most common thing is number 6. People tend to use a word that is not actually a word. It's a name, and you can't use a name there. So just be careful whenever you're making these that you use only words. Okay, so start with these 2 because they do give you hints about what they are. The next page is a logic puzzle, and so it gives you this information, and you've got to figure out who they dated. And it's just like what your logic puzzles have been like since your Algebra 2 year. And so it gives you hints there, and you've got to figure out who they dated. And it's 8 points. Then the next one, solving a homicide case, it's the same thing. You have to assume that everyone saw each other in court except for the victim. And so you've got to figure out who was the victim, witness, policeman, judge, executioner, and murderer. And so that's a logic puzzle. If you want to draw the little boxes, if that helps you, then you can do that. And then the last part is the Sudoku puzzle. So you have this one that's worth 10 points, and then you have this Sudoku, which is worth 15 points. And they do both say Sudoku number 2, but they are actually different. but it's 100 points total, and so that is your project. So hopefully those directions help you a little bit with your project.